What's up, Rusty? I think we got a game of dominoes getting ready to start playing right here, right? Georgia gets offensive line commit. Michael, Uini, what you know?
Well, the big one. I think that's going to be the theme of the month of July as we start ending June and head into July. 6'7", 335 pounds. This past weekend at the University of Georgia, and Stacy Searles takes a kid out of Copper Cove, Texas, who had been on 5 unofficial visits in the last calendar year to the University of Texas. So when you look at him, Michigan was involved. Alabama had him there. I think this came down to Georgia and Alabama at the end. Michigan had some momentum for a while, but a very good OV with a young man from a military family. I believe both of his parents, 25 plus years in the military.
Yeah, I mean he's a one of the things I like about this kid, right, is you brought it up 6'7", 335. All right, let's imagine for a second, Georgia. If Georgia's smart, they're recruiting kids with this in mind. We're probably going to lose 4 of our 5 offensive linemen this coming year. All right. So that's a cat right there that, let's say he enrolls early. I'm not 100% sure whether that's going to be the case or you might can speak to that. But let's say he enrolls early. He comes in, he can compete at right guard, or he can compete at left guard right away with the long-term plan of playing him at tackle. But he's got the ability and the size and the power and everything you want to come in and kind of fill some shoes for you, wear some hats. And I'm big on that when it comes to the offensive line. This is a guy that's, unlike some guys, is not 30, 40 pounds away, lighter or heavier away from getting on the football field. I think that's also important.
One thing I like about him, you see the versatility there, right there, get out in space on that little zone bubble there, and being able to block that corner. But the one thing I'll tell you about him, and Jake, you've watched a ton more tape than I have. I want you to watch the amount of knockdown blocks. This guy is getting people off their feet, and that tells you he is heavy-handed. I mean, this is a guy that delivers some pop when he hits you. And today's game is so much about space. Just being a mirror. Get in front of somebody long enough for that person to get by. The game is so fast now. But with Georgia, there is a physicality trait they desire. Like Kirby Smart wants to be able to move people, and the ability to kind of knock people off their feet is invaluable. When you look at a kid at 6'7", legit 6'7", 335. So he could play multiple positions, but I do think this one's got the makings to me of he's going to compete for a tackle spot in Athens. And again, Stacy Searles, I think the theme of this class is they want to get bigger. Marcus Harrison already committed out of Buffalo, New York. They go to Texas for this young man. So you got a 6'7" and a 6'8" guy. It's crazy. Malachi Tolliver from just little old Cartersville, Georgia here. He's 6'5", 315. He's the baby. He's the small guy of this class.
Yeah, ain't that something?
Yeah.
A couple things you'll hear me mention a lot with offensive linemen. There's 2 things. One, you watch this kid, he gets down in his stance, heels are on the ground. He's got ankle flex.
Yep.
And then another thing, when he does end up on the ground, he pops back up. He doesn't wallow around trying to find his way, see where his feet are, can't see his feet, all that stuff. He's an athlete. So I'm going to listen. And Rusty, I think the biggest thing we need to get into right here with this is, man, Georgia and Alabama were considered afterthoughts going into kind of back-to-back official visits. He took official visits to Georgia and Alabama within like a 5-day period. And everybody thought, Michigan. We thought Michigan going into the Georgia visit. We didn't even know Alabama had made a move yet. And then boom, just like that, decision, Michigan's out. What do you think Georgia was able to, kind of communicate to him on that official visit? What do you think kind of swung this in their favor?
Well, I think the theme, Jake, is Georgia's losing probably most likely 4 starters. You know what I mean? So, yes, those guys have got to be replaced, and there's some experienced guys on campus. But here's the thing, Jake. You can come to Georgia, and if you handle your business and you come in and compete, like you potentially could be second string at the University of Georgia after your first spring, before you ever run through Sanford Stadium, before you ever get on between the hedges. You could be a second string guy for a back-to-back national champion. So they're losing some guys that's played a ton of games. They're going to lose some guys that's played a ton of games. And look, the portal, it giveth and it taketh. You know what I mean? So You look at that, and with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no telling what happens there, what they're looking at. So I think Georgia is more of like, hey, we're trying to get bigger right now. Big body guys. They took 2 guys in the last class who certainly have a lot of ceiling left in them, in Bo Hughley and Jamal Merriweather. But those are both 270-pound guys. They've got a ways to kind of go to get into that body shape that's kind of desired to play at Georgia. Not saying they can't get there, but they got a ways to go themselves. So you look at Monroe Freeland. We talked about him. He came in at 285. Now he's 313. So where these guys fit in, because they're going to come in on the other side of the spectrum. They're going to come in where they got to drop about 20, but they're already, I think Uini can play at 335. I think that's a good weight. They'll probably want him at 320, something like that. But with his frame and length, he's going to carry 320 like a normal human carries 240.
Absolutely. And they have that saying at Georgia. I know they have it at other places too. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Yeah. And that's something that they'll preach to these guys from now until they get ready to enroll. Quick look at what's coming. All right. You've got on the 5th, Daniel Calhoun is making a decision. That's what, Georgia, Alabama, Texas battle, you think?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, yep.
6'6", 350, 360, 365. But I don't want to sound like an auctioneer here. You saw him here recently. What are we talking about there?
He's if I had to pay my next 6 months mortgage, I go north of 360 as of yesterday. But I'll tell you this, man, he moves. It's just hard to look at those guys and see how, I watched him yesterday playing both sides of the ball, playing nose guard in a padded camp. But I think Daniel Calhoun, Georgia on the 5th, they got a great opportunity there to add a high priority in-state kid.
100%. And then more on the offensive line. Nair Daniels is going to decide on July 7th. Marquise Easley is going to decide on July 8th. We don't know, and we won't know until down the road how dominoes falling is going to affect each one of these guys. But as we sit right now, today on the last day of June, we feel good about Georgia landing all 4 of these offensive linemen, and that counts Michael Uini to go with Daniel Calhoun, to go with Nair Daniels and Marquise Easley. Georgia's got a chance to sweep them here and finish up basically on the offensive line in this class, and then it's Katie bar the door, hold on to them until the final little ink dries at the very end, because schools are going to be coming after them. All right, Rusty, let's get back to writing. Let's get back to running this website over at DawgsHQ. Come join us.